Hi, welcome to Prayers Radio. Reverend Rex, this is
Reverend Paul.
And this show is only about prayer.
Affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatments.
Ernest Holmes. It's Science of Mind. So we're all about Science of Mind, and we have a special guest today. We have Dr. Kasey Wilson, RScP. Woo! You're here.
Good morning, everybody.
So we're gonna have her pray us in if you choose to.
Absolutely. So let's settle into that space. Take a deep breath. Just let everything go that's come before this moment. And just remember that there is only one power in the universe. There's only one source of life. And that beautiful energetic flow is the source of universes, planets, everything that we have ever seen and we ever will see. How beautiful it is to remember and know that. And because that is all there is, that is what you and I are. Every person living, every animal, every stream, every river, every part of nature is all a manifestation of that beautiful energy. So I just know and declare that everything is perfect in this moment. Everything that needs to be said will be said. There'll be a word that is heard by someone today that is exactly what that person will bless that person in this moment. I know that everything works perfectly with the production of this show, and that the sound of our voices reach everyone that for which it is intended. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for all the work that goes into producing this show and everything that will transpire today. So I just released that into the creative field, knowing that it is received and multiplied and it's done. I ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.
So it is.
So it is. That was wonderful.
That was
this show
perfect.
is live, unscripted. Well, a little bit scripted. So she could be Dr. Kasey is actually at campcedarridge.org. So I'm going to say campcedarridgeor.org for those spelling challenged like myself sometimes. Thank God for spell check. Anyways, I'm going to let her tell a little bit about herself, if you would, please.
Certainly. So I'm executive director of Camp Cedar Ridge. Camp Cedar Ridge is owned by the Centers for Spiritual Living. But Camp Cedar Ridge is its own 501c3, and we lease the property from the Centers for Spiritual Living. So we have our own independent mission and things that we're working on. There is a vision to someday have a series of camps throughout the country. We call that the Cedar Grove. And so we're Camp Cedar Ridge OR because we're Camp Cedar Ridge, Oregon. But someday there'll be other Camp Cedar Ridges across the country. And our motto is discover the good. And so we serve New Thought communities, but we serve a lot more groups and people than new. We have a wider service area. And a lot of people, when they come, they have no idea that there's Science of Mind behind what we're doing there. So what we try to project is the idea of discovering the good in life and spreading it. And that's something that everybody can relate to. We also do a lot of work in the community, the local community here. We call it putting Science of Mind in the spaghetti sauce, because we don't talk about it, but we're just serving in a particular way. We call it radical hospitality. We're trying to look behind what each guest's and each group's stated needs are and see how we can serve the underlying, question that they might be having. And so it's an interesting ministry because we are, as I say, serving a broader audience than people who are familiar with science of mind. And that brings a lot of both opportunities and challenges. The idea of science of mind in action. So, for example, one of the things we do, we own the laundromat in the town that we're in. And so we're providing service through that. And we are partnered with a national nonprofit where we offer laundry for no charge twice a month. We also run the after school program in Vernonia, in the town that we're in. And so we work with the children in that program. And an example of putting science of mind in the spaghetti sauce is that every day the kids say, yes to life, yes to life, yes to life. So we don't have to name it science of mind for our message to reach folks that we interact with. So I'll pause there. So you asked about me personally. Before this, I worked at home office at Centers for Spiritual Living Home Office, director of professional development. And prior to that, I worked sort of half my career was in higher education administration, and the other half was in running camps and conference centers. So my doctorate is actually in higher education administration.
Well, I'll say that you have a wonderful program. I know Paul's been up there, and he does tell me about it. My daughter's been up there because that's where they have the teen camp,
Yes,
which is a whole bunch of fun, that she said, and she has made a lot of lifetime friends. But I invite you to go over to the website and take a look at it, because there's a lot of venues for other things that you can actually rent space for that I saw. So let's go ahead and get into our questions. Paul, would you like to ask the first? Well, go for it, Paul.
So, Kasey, we're just wondering, with prayer, spiritual mind treatment, what have you seen as tangible results for yourself through the use of spiritual mind treatment?
Well, yeah, quite, it's kind of like, give us the Reader's Digest version of your life, right? To ask that question. Yeah. It's such an integral part of daily living. And, the word prayer, the way that traditionally understood, has that idea of beseeching. But in our tradition, spiritual mind treatment is really about raising your vibration to be at a particular place, a place that you are in unity with the source of all things. And so it's the foundation of everything that we do, and the sort of the movement that we're involved with.
So how has it showed up in your life? Any tangible results?
Oh, well, again, it's hard to. So I would say, when we came to Camp Cedar Ridge, it was right after COVID, and it was the sale of the property was delayed a little bit. So we got the property 6 weeks before we part of what we did. Part of the sale involved the contracts, so the existing contracts that the seller had. So we had 6 weeks to get our entire system up and going, and we did it. I'll just put it that way. So, and that entire summer was just one long prayer. Just the way that we brought the staff together, the way that everyone worked together, the way that people were connected by the mission, and really everything that we've been able to bring into manifestation since then really has been the heart of prayer. But I will tell you right now, at this moment, 2 weeks ago, we found out that someone had brought bed bugs to this property, to expose our property to bed bugs. And that was an emergency, right? So we found out what it was going to, what had to happen, the mitigation that had to happen. And the bill for that is $25,000. Wow. And it had to be done immediately to get us back open and get, we have contracts and things that are supposed to be happening here. People who work here that rely on our operation. And And it was kind of an interesting moment for me in my own spiritual development, because I went from, okay, we need to take care of this, which means we'll be manifesting quite a lot of money in a short period of time. And I think, earlier in my career, earlier in my spiritual life, it would have been quite a nosedive, right? It would have been,
Mm.
panic. What do I do? And not only that, but also like personally I don't know about you, but sometimes when these things happen, even though, as a leader, there wasn't a whole lot I could have done about it, you still kind of second guess yourself, right? You're like,
Mm.
so this is happening in my sphere. What did I do to contribute to that? Right. And these kind of spiral. And then you put yourself back up, get yourself back up, and pat yourself up and get back in the game. That's been a common pattern for me. And this time I was able to just step right over that and say, we're not going to spiral. We're not going to second guess. We're not going to go into any kind of negative anything. We're just going to go right to
Mm.
uh, what needs to happen in a positive way. And I know and affirm that something good will come from this. Our motto is discover the good. This challenge, something good is going to manifest from this. So that was 10 days ago. And we started the campaign, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah, 10 days ago. We started the campaign 10 days ago. We've raised over $20,000. We're less than $5,000 away from being able to pay this bill. And that was, just absolutely spirit.
So
Mm.
we reach about 1,000 people a month on this show so far, at least according to statistics. However you want to look at that stuff. So they would be able to go to campcedarridge.org, which I spelled it out earlier, and donate to that cause if to help you out with that. So I suggest that
Yeah,
to
that
everybody
would
because
be amazing. Yes,
yeah,
that would be great. But
I'm just
I found that story because it there's times that you really feel spirit flowing,
Mm.
and this was one of those times that it was like there was a certain amount, of course there was a certain amount of fear, but I just was really able to just jump over it and go. And I was just so um, happy that we as an organization and me as a person have gotten to the place where that's the way we're rolling.
Mm.
Yeah.
it's interesting some of the questions we ask are what do you do when you're triggered and when you have doubt, and you just covered that perfectly. There is no doubt. It's a knowing. It's a
Yeah.
knowing.
Well, I feel like there's a part, and I have kind of I would say a mastermind group with the person that is my colleague that does a lot, that is on our staff. And a lot of times when we're coming up with new things, like, so we're about to open a community center in Vernonia. That's a big step. That's a big undertaking. And there's been a lot of different projects that we've, discussed and decided to do together. And there seems to be a moment after when we're in that step one of, connecting with source, where the decision is made, or we know, yes, we're going to do this. There's a click that happens there.
Mm.
And then from there on, we're just watching the movie. We know it's going to happen. We just watching it play out. And that's a
Mm.
beautiful place to be.
The
It's
knowing
nice
is.
when we have that choice of being either in the effect or in the cause.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. And sometimes we'll say, oh, okay, it's now we're just watching the movie. We got it.
So how do you prep your day? Wake up, oh,
Or
great
start.
maker, or whatever you call it. How do you prep your day?
So I'm a big Science of Mind magazine person. So first thing in the morning,
Mm.
I read Science of Mind magazine. That's my most consistent. You know how sometimes you do more and sometimes you do less, but reading Science of Mind magazine, that's my absolute number one go to.
Mm.
The second thing I do is I read the Book of Awakening, and I've been reading that book. Mark Nepo, been reading that book since 2012, and I write the date on it because it's a daily. right? So January 1st, it goes all through the 365 days. And so I write the date, the year, sorry, I write the year when I do it. And then if I miss a day, then the date is missing. And it's kind of interesting because it's almost like a data project, because I go back and go, now, why is it that, out of, 15 years, I only read this date 5 times, and then there'll be other dates where I did it every year. And there's other dates where there are pages in there that I've never read since 2012. Why is that? And so then I start thinking about what goes on in my year that might, what information does that give me? So I do that. And then I do a meditation. I do prayer meditation. I do the daily pages, writing 3 pages in the morning
So
from the artist's way.
Reverend Ryan, we talked about that in the pre-show and stuff, and he's a big visioner, I believe. Am I correct on that? So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. She's Reverend Jeff Ryan,
Yeah.
the senior minister of Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. That I used to live in Riverside. I used to work for the University of California, Riverside. I was saying I go back and forth from higher ed to camping, conferencing. So I was on the higher ed part of my life, and I went to Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, and that is where I got my practitioner training. And Riverside Center for Spiritual Living is still the biggest supporter of Camp Cedar Ridge of any CSL, and so grateful for Reverend Jeff and everything, who he is and everything that he's done in my life.
We've had him on show 23 for our listeners, and show 32 with Reverend Sonia Prince, who's I believe also with him.
Also, yeah.
Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people and wonderful ministers. I visited their church a couple of times, so they're just great. Wanted to just give a shout out to them real quick into the show that they were on, because it was good.
Yes. And they made a wonderful donation to our current, it's called the Great Bug Out campaign.
I like that. So how have your prayers evolved over time, do you think?
Well, so this is let's see, how much time do we have? This is the time I'll quickly tell my story. So I was born into a Christian Science family. My great grandmother became a Christian Scientist in the early, I think it was 1905, but something like that. And then my grandmother was born and raised. My mom was born and raised. So, a deep tradition of Christian Science. And when my mom became an adult, she started going to religious science church. And so I was born, going to religious science church. And the church I went to actually had an elementary school attached to it, which is still there. I went and visited it recently. So I had a tremendous foundation as a child. And, throughout I didn't always, how life goes. You do different things and you try different things. But I'm very grateful for that deep, rich New Thought tradition. I know not everybody considers Christian Science New Thought, but I definitely do. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about making sure that we have programs for young people like Teen Camp. I would like to start a even younger camp, like a middle school camp. Unity comes to Camp Cedar Ridge, and they have a camp for 7 to 11-year-olds, and they have a camp for middle schoolers. And I would love to see us expand. And also very passionate about next gen. I think you had Reverend Audra on your show before.
Maybe we did.
Yeah,
we had more than my daughter went there also. So next gen is a good thing also.
Yes.
So for young adults, if you're interested in this philosophy, that's a way to go. So.
Yeah, and part of why we want to have a series of camps across the country is because as we invest in the future, we need to be doing things that young people are young people want to be involved with, vibrant programs that attract younger folks. And some of the opportunities that we have here are, can be that kind of thing. We also have a internship program for next gen age-ish, although we have had people a little older do it. But we also have, like, right now we have a couple of young people who are next gen age and just were kind of drifting in their home centers and needed a little bit of support. So they ended up coming here. They're staying for a couple of seasons. We've been doing that. I think we've had maybe 10 next
Mm.
gens over the first 4 years come and stay with us for a little while, work with us, kind of get their feet under them, and then go on to whatever they're going on to. And I really feel like it's important for us to have places like that. Um, and so I guess that was a long answer to how prayer has evolved, but I feel like over time, um, my understanding and ability to connect with the teaching has deepened, but and I really credit that to the having had access to it all my life, and that's why I want to make sure that more young people have that, have
Mm.
a place to go, have a place that is that they love and they have great memories of. Um, we had a young person who went to teen camp here back in the 2000s, and they got married here last year because it was so special to their memories of being at camp. They
Mm.
wanted to get married here. Um, and I can see that happening. We're building a ferry trail right now to have something for smaller children to interact with, and I I envision a little girl who has not yet been born that comes to Camp Cedar Ridge, loves the ferry trail, goes to camp here, does the internship program, wants to get married here, that that I think about the people who raised the money and built the program for the church that I went to, the elementary school that I went to. Somebody did those things. Somebody had
Mm.
the vision. Somebody raised the money. Somebody designed the program, and I benefited from that. And I feel like it's my turn to sow into the field for the future.
Mm.
And I hope that well, I give thanks for the idea of the Cedar Grove, because I feel like if we're going to make what we're doing at camp really part of our culture, there has to be one within driving distance of everybody.
Mm.
So, if we have a vision of 5 camps across the country, that would be within, driving distance of just about everybody. And then camp can really be part of our culture and what makes us, makes our movement rich.
That's what our movement has no dogma and creed in it. It accepts all different religions in it and philosophies, but the philosophy itself is pretty much neutral when it comes to that, which I think is wonderful. Hey, what what's your favorite Ernest Holmes book?
Um, I would say, well, I'm not going to say Science of Mind because that's too easy. I would say the Essential Ernest Holmes I really like. Jesse
Mm.
Jennings did that. And I like How to Live the Science of Mind. That's another, it's,
Mm.
very succinct, very practical. Um, what is it? Creative Mind is Success. That's another one I really like.
So, Kasey, what would trigger a prayer in your life?
You mean besides the daily, like,
The daily grind, yeah.
yeah. Um, so I would say both. Something that is, if it's a moment of Thanksgiving, that's a moment of prayer,
Mm.
right? And if there's a moment of challenge, that's another time. Um, and also, as a practitioner, when I am, for both those things, working with other people, right? And we have a lot of staff here. We usually have between 30 and 60 people, and most of them are not, aware of the science mind per se. And so finding a way to be with people to help them to kind of raise their vibration, be in a better place, shift the energy, um, any of those kinds of things. But I
Mm,
mean, it's definitely a part of my daily life.
that's nice.
So we're at the 5 minute mark, and we need to shotgun the rest of these questions, Paul. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask what's your favorite Ernest Holmes quote?
Um, the one about find me 1,000 people.
Mm.
Um, what is that? That know religious science and live it, and that we'll see a new heaven and a new earth. But I see that. I mean, he says in the quote that no religious science, and I feel like it's more like who understand the concept of science of mind, because I always say you can get a lot done if you don't care who gets the credit. We can spread science of mind without calling it science of mind. And
Mm.
but I do think the more people who are living the teaching, the more we shift the energy of our own lives. And the vision is creating a world that works for all. And so I think that's what he's saying there, is that if we're living the science of mind, we're actively working on creating a world that works for all.
Mm. And how would you
Wonder-
explain our philosophy to someone who doesn't understand it or doesn't know about it?
Yeah. Well, that comes up for me quite a bit because, um, again, we don't, as you know, we don't proselytize, right? We
Mm.
don't try, right? So, and to the point that a lot of times people will ask, they have to ask me like 3 questions before I'm really going to answer, because I don't want anybody to feel like if they come here, they're going to be exposed to something that's going to make them uncomfortable. So I have to be sure they really want to hear me talk about
Mm.
sex of mine. No. Uh, and the I will often say that it's a teaching that was synthesized by various thinkers and writers, um, that uh, has identified the golden thread of truth that
Mm.
flows through all religions. And I'm sort of with Ernest Holmes in the sense that I call it a teaching. I know that technically it's a religion, but it's for me, it really is a teaching, and that everyone has access to and can learn about and apply. And it's not in conflict with whatever your faith tradition might.
Mm.
It can enhance and multiply whatever it is that you are already tradition that you already have. And again, just discover the good in life and spread
Yeah.
it.
I like even the title of Science of Mind. It's a faith, a philosophy, and a way of life.
Way of living. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
So do you do the 5 step, 7 step, or 9 step, or 2 step, or 1 step?
I do the 5 step. The Watusi. I do the 5 step.
3 step. Sounds like a country song, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So when do you release a prayer into law, in your opinion?
When?
Just yeah.
What you
So you
mean
say the
in the 5 steps?
well, the 5th step we know is
Yeah, the
where you
fifth
release.
step, right.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
So when you do you
You want me
release it
to
when you think it, or do you release it and say I release it into law, it is done, and then you're
And
releasing
what
it to
does that
something
feel
else?
like? Yeah, for
What does
you.
that feel like? Yeah.
um I want to make sure I understand. So yes, in the 5th step is when we release it. And I actually love that step. And we were talking a little bit before the call that for me, I realized at some point during practitioner training that really it's all about the first step. If you do the
Mm.
first step fully and completely, you really don't need the rest of the steps. But if you were going to have, of the 5, the 2 that I think are the most essential are 1 and 5. Knowing, being in that sense of connection with source and allowing and just releasing and allowing. If we just did those, we'd be okay. In my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. The allowing parts, that's a good part because you're
Yeah.
allowing,
Yeah.
you're letting it go from you, letting something bigger than you take over.
Yeah. And there
Yeah.
you definitely feel that, I release this into the law, which always receives and multiplies all that is spoken into it. There's a comfort in that.
Yeah, like earlier you said there's a click, and I love that. There's a click, then you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. And
What
now we're
would be
watching
the
the movie.
what takeaway would you give our audience from this show? If what do you want our
Mm.
audience to leave with, and just say, yeah, that's it.
Mm, there's a power for good in the universe, and you can use it.
Greater than you are, and you can use it.
And so it is.
And so it is. Yay. Thank
That
you,
would be the
Kasey.
message, right?
So I
Discover the
we're
good in life and spread it.
we're
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and so I'm Reverend Rich of Prayers Radio. This is Reverend,
Reverend Paul, I am spiritalive.com.
and we have Dr. Kasey Wilson, RScP. Uh, just being silly. Would you like to pray us out, please?
Oh, sure. So again, going into that space, with gratitude for all that has been spoken here, and knowing that as we speak the truth, that all are blessed by that remembering and that knowing. I'm thankful for everything that had transpired that made this show possible for everyone who is hearing our words, to speak a blessing for them. And just ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.
And so it
So it is.
is.
Like and subscribe to us, folks, and this is it.
Thank you, Kasey.
Thank you.